Hey guys, it's Holly. So today I'm going to be talking you guys through what I'm personally going to be searching for and feeling for when going out and hunting for the Marvel Studios CMF series that will be releasing on September 1st or October 1st in Australia, and I think it's like Korea or something, as well as New Zealand. Unfortunately, yeah, it sucks. We're going to get it late. Now this series has a lot of people behind it and a lot of people wanting it. It's going to be extremely highly sought after, and I feel like probably for the first few months it's probably going to be quite hard to get a hold of. We also don't know what the box distribution is going to be like yet, but I imagine there could be one or two figures that only have one in a box. And I know for myself personally, I'm thinking about getting maybe 2 or 3 of a few characters in this series. So I really feel like it's going to be quite hard to get, and honestly, just looking at the pieces, there are quite a few figures that I feel like are going to be really hard. I don't think this series is going to be impossible, but maybe for some people who sort of feeling and searching for figures is new to, maybe you might struggle a tiny bit with this one. Now, since this series, every single figure has the same size legs, that instantly sort of wipes out my first thing that I sort of search for. However, with this series, there are 4 characters that all have the Captain America shield piece, and I feel like that's a great place to start. So first up, we have Sam Wilson's Captain America, and I feel like he's gonna be one of the easiest to search for. Firstly, gotta go for that shield piece. That at least narrows it down to one of 4 characters. Then after that, the easiest piece to feel for is that brand new neck bracket thing. This piece looks massive. It's longer than I think the base, just by looking at the photos. You've also got those 2 sort of hinge pieces on the end, so you need to find 2 of them, and that neck bracket, and I feel like that's really what you've got to search for. I wouldn't bother about the hair piece, and I guess even in some cases you might actually be able to find the wing piece before you even find the shield. So his should be pretty easy to get a hold of if you're looking for him. If you're looking for Peggy, same deal. Go and find that shield piece first. You've narrowed it down to 4. And then what I would do is try and find her hair piece. I wouldn't even bother trying to search for the 1x1s that make up the Tesseract. It's just no point. But do keep in mind there is probably going to be 3 in that bag and not 2. So kind of keep that in mind. But the hair piece is going to be, I think, the easiest, considering it's quite long and there aren't too many long hair pieces in this series. Once you found the hair, you should be good to go, although I guess sort of just to make sure you've got the right figure, maybe try and find those 1x1s, but I would not sort of just go straight into searching for them. So the last 2 figures with a shield are probably some of the hardest, I think, to find in this series. So next up is Bucky. Now Bucky, straight up, firstly find the shield, and I guess the next way to narrow it down is if you find that wing piece or Peggy's hair. I feel like doing that is going to save you a lot more time rather than finding a specific part. So I would honestly try and find the wings and Peggy's hair and cross them off the list, because then you've got to try and distinguish it between Cap's helmet and Bucky's hair, which shouldn't be hopefully too hard. But with Bucky specifically, I would try and find the knives. They're probably going to be attached just like brand new knife pieces usually are. Maybe try and find them. Maybe someone's broken off a knife during the feeling process, so do keep that in mind for him. I feel like he's going to be probably one of the hardest in this series, so best of luck trying to find him. I feel like you're probably going to have to maybe just sort of research his hairpiece if you've got a few lying around. Probably sort of stick it on your finger, see what that is like. And if you've got Captain America's helmet, I would probably stick that on your pinky too and just sort of feel the difference between them using existing pieces. If you don't have those pieces, then I feel like the best thing to do in order to locate Bucky is just make sure that the piece doesn't have anything sort of coming over the top of it. It's just got to have sort of one back to it. Same deal with Captain America as a zombie. He's only got the shield as an accessory, so you've really got to feel for that, and the helmet. Those 2 figures specifically I feel like are going to be quite hard for new people to this. Next up is Monica, and again I feel like she's going to be pretty easy to feel for in this series, and personally what I'm going to go for first is just straight up the hair piece. It's probably one of the thickest pieces out of the entire wave. Should make her bag just a tiny bit more bulky compared to all of the other figures, which is a really big win. Her hair has a lot of texture to it. Again, it's quite long, it's quite thick, it's quite wide. Should be really easy to try and locate that. And then just to sort of double check yourself, I would go and find all of the small little bricks that make up the helicopter. That's what I'm personally going to do. Next up is Loki, and again, he's a pretty easy one to feel for. I mean, I feel like most people are going to sort of gravitate towards Throg, but since Throg is a new piece, what I'm personally going to do is just go straight for the mug. We know what Lego mugs are like. They're a pretty common piece. It's easy to sort of find the cylindrical body as well as the separate handle. That's what I'm personally personally going to go for with a Loki. I mean, you sort of could go for Throg if you wanted to, but since he's a new piece and sort of looks a bit weird, maybe you might get it confused with something else. I don't know, but I feel like as a safety point, might want to find that one as well as the mug. I guess you could sort of also feel for the hair as well, but in that case, you might get it mixed up with Gamora or Peggy, so I'd probably avoid the hair with him. Not quite as easy, but also not particularly hard, is Sylvie next. Now, the best thing to do, obviously, is go for Alligator Loki, Croaky. Gonna be the easiest. There's a tiny bit of ribbing on his tail. I mean, I think the best things to do is probably search for the stud on the top of him, and then as a second go, I would probably try and find Sylvie's sword. Again, maybe avoid the hair for this one, because I feel like maybe the horns might not be too obvious. Again, maybe they are. I would personally go through the sword because there isn't too many pieces like that, but again, be careful that it's sort of not Gamora's blades or Bucky's handle. Just definitely find Alligator Loki first. Next up is T'Challa, and this one should hopefully be pretty sort of easy to differentiate. I don't think he's particularly too hard. The best bet here is to try and find two hair pieces. One of them is going to be a fully enclosed helmet. So what I would personally do is if you find a piece like that, I would try and get it onto my pinky to make sure that it is a helmet piece, since no other character in this series, I mean besides Cap, really has a helmet, but this one is fully face enclosing, should fit right on top of your pinky finger. And then you've got to try and find another hair piece, because there's no other figure in this series that has two pieces like that. Even Spider-Man with two heads doesn't have two hair pieces, so that's what I would go for. Then maybe just to really confirm and make sure that you've got the right figure, I would then go for the sort of blaster gun things. Next up is one of my favorites and probably the easiest figure I think to find in this series, and that is Spider-Man. Now first up, what I feel like it's probably going to be the easiest is trying to find two minifigure heads. There's literally no other figure in this series that has two minifigure heads. You've also got the hair piece, but another really big indicator is going to be that string piece, and especially because it's got all of the little grips on it, it should be very, very easy to find inside of a blind bag. He's a piece of cake. Next up, we have Gamora, and for me, I'm going to try and find her blade pieces first. There should be two of them. They're quite long, a little bit rubbery as well, tiny bit of flexibility. You've got a lightsaber hilt. I'd probably ignore that and just go straight for the hair, honestly. That hair piece is so common. It has such a distinct shape, considering like it almost feels like there's a gap, like a chunk taken out of it, so it should be really easy to find. So sort of putting the blades and the hair piece together, you should have a really easy figure to identify. Now the last two are kind of hard. I don't think they're as hard to differentiate between as like Bucky and sort of Cap, but it's Wanda and Vision. Now first up, we're gonna have a look at Vision. Now because his body doesn't have a hairpiece or anything like that and has a cape, he's very similar to Spider-Man in that regard. However, of course, Spider-Man has the string and the two heads. So what you have to go for with Vision is just his accessories, just straight up. You're not going to be able to feel that cape. It's ambitious to try. You've got to try and find the book, and specifically I feel like the 1x2 tile. It's just flat, there's nothing to it. That's going to be your biggest giveaway here, but definitely try and find the book pieces as well, and don't just rely on that tile on its own. I feel like that's a tiny bit too risky, and personally that's what I'm going to do. And lastly, we have the brand new Wanda and Scarlet Witch figure, and again, I feel like she's going to be kind of hard for the same deal as Vision. You've got the cape, you've got the torso, you've got the legs. What you've got to try and differentiate is her hairpiece, which luckily it's quite big, so it should be kind of easy, but I just hope that a lot of people don't get it mixed up between Gamora's hairpiece or possibly Peggy's. Hopefully not, considering it's a bit wider and you've sort of got the crown, but another big and easy thing to sort of go through, I mean, I guess it's not really a big piece, is going to be her two power blast pieces. Now I can imagine there could be potentially 3 of them inside of the bag so that you get one as a spare, so try and find them. I would literally try and go for like the lumps on the power blast pieces and sort of the hand connection with them. Those are going to be your giveaways. So she's not particularly easy, but also not super hard either. So those are the 12 Marvel CMF figures, and those are personally the things that I'm going to go hunting for and try to feel for when I go in stores and try and and get this series. I know for me personally, I'm hoping to get a few Peggys, maybe 2 Wonders, and at least like 3 Spider-Man. Other than that, I feel like I'll just get one of every other character. This series looks amazing. If you guys didn't hear my thoughts about it as well, I did make an entire video on that, so I will leave that linked up at the top there. But I cannot wait. Run, don't walk to your nearest stores. I imagine there'll be a couple of stores that just completely ignore street dates as usual. So if you're lucky, within a week or 2, you might be able to find these in stores. Best of luck with minifigure hunting, and I hope you guys can find all of the figures that you're after. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel down below. And until next time, guys, I'll see you later.